The Seattle Kraken looking to bounce back after a very disappointing loss, but it won't be easy.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Seattle sports fans, welcome to Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the nation. My name is Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken, also an accredited media member for Milano Cortina. That's right, the 2026 Olympics, 3 months away, which seems so wild to me. But we are here to talk about the Seattle Kraken. Also, over the weekend, whether it's here on Locked On Kraken or the Women's Hockey Report, we are going to talk about some women's hockey. So if that's your vibe, make sure that you follow along here. Again, at Locked On Kraken and at Women's Hockey Report. That's women's_hockey_report. Before we get into today's episode, have to let you know that it is presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com. You can win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. All right, Kraken fans, listen, we know that game the other night, I had a lot of things to say. Losing to the San Jose Sharks in the manner that we lost to them, not only because I have to listen and endure the team tank, commissioner JD Young gloating. And I saw that some of the comments on YouTube and people saying, oh, you got to give the Sharks more credit. All right, first of all, you got to listen to all the episodes because I've been talking literally since the beginning. Everydayers and OGers, my whole thing when the Kraken obviously came to the Pacific Division was that the Pacific Division was struggling and had some teams that because they were not winning, they were getting high draft lottery picks. Now, it's so interesting to me. I'm going to go on a rant early in the podcast. It is so interesting to me that when I was saying that if you want to be Team Tank, you have to commit to a decade worth of that, give or take, that people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not how it works. Bah, 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 bah. Now, when I'm talking about the Sharks and how they have a young core and how they're having time to grow together, people are telling me, yeah, it takes about a decade, 10 years. And I'm like, where have I heard that before? Anyway, yes, I have very strong feelings about tanking. But again, I understand what San Jose is doing. I don't agree with the methods. And we don't know for sure if they are bearing fruit completely. But when you look at where San Jose is, you have to respect what they're doing at least this season. Anaheim is another team. If we take a look at this, I'm going to do this quick before we get into talking about the Kraken. And the Anaheim Ducks right now are the #1 team in the Pacific Division. They have superseded now the Vegas Golden Knights. They have 19 standings points. The Anaheim Ducks are 9-3-1. All right, Ducks. Quack, quack, quack. The Vegas Golden Knights are 7-3-3. And then you have the Seattle Kraken at 6-3-4. And again, we didn't play particularly well. San Jose, though, still has work to do. They're 6-6-3. So, they're on a 2-game winning streak, but they're starting to get it together. So as much as I was talking about San Jose, because we just played them, we're about to play them again. I'll be at that game as well, I believe. I have to double check. But, we really should be talking about Anaheim. And I have talked about Anaheim because, again, You look at some of these teams in the Pacific Division, they're keeping their draft picks, they're drafting high. Well, I mean, there's the whole Zegras thing, but anyway, they're keeping their picks, they're drafting high, and they're giving guys to work it out because they have to. They don't have veteran guys on a 7-7 contract. They don't have, a goaltender that they won't buy out, but that they also won't give more starts to. That's not what they're doing. That's what the Kraken is doing. And while I don't believe in team tank, I just philosophically do not. You will not hear me say team tank is the way to go. That's not what I believe. If I ever say that, please call the authorities because I'm being, coerced. Held against my will, something like that. But I do not believe in that. I do not believe in that. I think you got to play the game out. And it's an interesting position that the Seattle Kraken are in because we find ourselves, in a manner of speaking. I can't remember where I picked this up. I would love to give credit. So if you know where I picked this up, let me know. It's also something people say. So who knows who the origin is, but I always like to give credit. Not everyone agrees, but I digress. That's another story for another day. But, the messy middle, the Kraken, even though, again, third overall in the division, we are a team that is dangerously close to being a perennial messy middle team as opposed to a perennial playoff team that we keep hearing this organization say we want to be. And, I saw the comments on social media and on YouTube. And one comment that I thought was really interesting, and I'll try to pull it up later here because, again, I do like to give credit. I love the comments. Like I say, most of the comments are great. I love y'all's energy. I don't always agree. I know some of you, we disagree maybe on Ryan Winterton as an example. We've disagreed with Philipp Grubauer. But that's okay because this is a team that has a lot of challenges historically. And I just don't know that we've figured out how to address all of them. So while there are great things that we're seeing from the Kraken, and I did not expect them to be in third place, the disappointment comes because it feels like it could be season 2 all over again. This is not what I had planned to talk about today, but I'm going to stay here. I do want to talk about a reset before a back-to-back. We'll hear from Jaden Schwartz and Lane Lambert a little bit. Goalie concerns. Lane was asked directly a goalie question that I've been asking on the podcast that I want to talk about, and then some lines and injury stuff. But I want to stay here. Season 2, we make the playoffs. My big, bad, bold prediction when I started the show, everydayers and OGers know, was that we would win a Stanley Cup before the Vegas Golden Knights. Chandler Stevenson has proved positive that did not happen, that did not bear fruit. But you know what? It was an exciting season. Not a great regular season for Philipp Grubauer, but we had Martin Jones there. So Philipp Grubauer, he was injured in fair, but it wasn't the greatest season, but also there were injuries there. We had a goaltender in Martin Jones that carried the banner in the regular season. We got Philipp Grubauer to be the Philipp Grubauer that we thought we were signing in the postseason. Guys were connecting that fourth line, who is it? Geeky Donato, and of course now I'm forgetting, but that Geeky line really got us going. They were the engine. The fourth line was the engine, and everyone else kind of fell into place. But we haven't gotten that magic back, perhaps until this season. But the thing is that what I said during that season, what I said after that season, and what I've said since that season, and something that we're seeing in the comments a lot, especially on YouTube, is even if we don't just talk about the San Jose game, like I said at the end of that episode, even though I did rant, I said you got to flush it. You do have to flush it. But the organization, starting with the coaching staff and moving up, and maybe you talk about some of the player leadership as well, you have to start thinking about sustainability, learning the lessons, figuring things out, and then, forging ahead. And that's why I liked what Jaden Schwartz said. Now, Jaden is one of those guys that, he's an older guy. Eventually, we're going to have to let go of Jaden Schwartz. It will be a hard day for me when that happens because I like how he plays. But there's probably going to become a time where, unless we figure out how to offload other people, guys like Jaden Schwartz and Jordan Eberle, their contracts and the way their careers are going and the value that they can have elsewhere is going to be an offer that we can't refuse. And that makes me sad because I think you want guys like Jaden Schwartz, you want guys like Jordan Eberle, you want guys like even Jared McCann, who we'll talk about a little bit later on the show as far as his progress. Spoiler alert, there's it I'm not thrilled with the report that we got, but anyway. And I think what frustrates me, even knowing, it's the business, people are like, oh, get over it. When Ryan Donato, I still miss Ryan Donato. I still miss that guy so bad on this team. But people are like, oh, get over it. It's sports, baka, baka, baka. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for enlightening me, the host of a show that covers not just the Seattle Kraken, but the NHL. Thank you for letting me know it's sports. Thank you for letting me know it's a business. And, I probably wouldn't have been able to figure that one out had people not been screaming it at me. Yeah, I get a little spicy, especially as a woman in sports, because people feel extra entitled to tell me what I do and don't know. More so what I don't know. I wish people would tell me what I do know and lift me up, be aggressive in that way. I'll probably still won't believe you because I have things that I'm working on as a human. All right. This is not a therapy session. What isn't it though? Anyway, group therapy session starts now. I'll get back on track here. All right. The things that frustrate me when we think about Ryan Donato, for some people, Morgan Geeky. He wasn't my favorite, but I understand. I understand the appeal. Those guys that we see being successful elsewhere, is that we had to make those moves. And again, I think it will come a day, unless things change, where it's Schwartz, it's Eberle, it's McCann. Gosh, help us if it's down the road Beniers or Wright or Catton, where we have to make those decisions. I mean, that's a part of the game, that's a part of the business. I understand that. But the frustrating part is that it just feels, and hindsight being 2020, whatever you want to say, it just feels like some of it could have been avoided if at the front office level we made different decisions. And so as much as I want to be able to ride the wave right now and enjoy the overall fact that the Kraken are doing much better than I think a lot of us thought they would, in the immediate next thought is to season 2 and what we did and honestly didn't do to capture that success. The big thing, everydayers know this, OGers know this, that I said during the second season and after the second season is, now that we've arrived earlier than expected at our destination, aka the playoffs, and knowing that we've said from jump, as most franchises should, right, that we want to be a perennial playoff team. What is this organization going to do? Do you stay the course and believe in your 5-year plan? Do you course adjust ever so slightly to embrace and harness, capture the lightning in a bottle that was season 2? Or I guess, do you do nothing or some combination of the three? And it feels like the Kraken almost picked the absolute wrong combination of the three. Sometimes that's how it feels. I don't know. That's sometimes how it feels. And I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want this franchise. I don't want the players. I don't want the fans to have to deal with that again. But I don't know that I see anything different. Lane Lambert seems to be, still early returns, I would say, seems to be the right guy to guide us back on track. He certainly has the guys, putting the Sharks game aside, he has the guys focused. And again, I can put the Sharks game. We had to talk about it, but then you flush it. But what Jaden said and what I said after that game is that these games, unfortunately, are going to happen. You don't aim for them to happen, but we are humans. We are not perfect. We are not machines. We are not bots. We are not those little, what are those little cars? I see them a lot in Arizona. I don't think they're just in Arizona. I see them in Arizona and Florida a lot. You know, the ones that like drive, like self-drive, which freaks me out. I'm like living in the Jetsons, which also dates me. Just for the record, I grew up watching the Jetsons because like they were like the classic cartoon. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. I own my age, but that also means that I don't take responsibility for things that weren't of my time. And the Jetsons was a rerun kind of vibe, a nostalgic vibe when I was growing up. Anyway, that's again, this is what happens when you're a solo host. Sometimes I go off the rails a little. Sometimes I rant a little. Sometimes I make, jokes. Sometimes, oh my goodness, like at the Team USA Summit, I could not get my brain to function properly. So, if I say anything silly, please let me know in the comments. If you're nice about it, I would appreciate it. But even if you're not, I'll still own my mistakes. I try to do that. All right, here we go. We're back. Can Lane Lambert get this team like what I just did? That's what we need a Lane Lambert to do, is like, all right, let's focus again. But Jaden knows, this team knows, those games are going to happen. You don't want them to happen, but they do happen. So what do you do now? And that's what I want to talk about. Let's take a short little interlude, a little break here. We'll come back. We'll hear from Jaden. We'll talk a little bit later about what we're hearing from Lane Lambert about goaltending, about line changes, and of course, about injuries. That's coming up on today's episode of Locked on Kraken. Today's episode of Locked on Kraken brought to you by Rougiette. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED, designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiette makes it easy to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. If you're prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that. So visit rougiette.com/lockedonnhl to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/lockedonnhl. And don't forget to use our promo code LOCKEDONNHL. Rougiette, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode of Locked on Kraken also brought to you by our new regional partner, and that is Doer. Now, I love the Pacific Northwest. I'm in the Pacific Northwest right now. I'm trying to move to the Pacific Northwest. And so when I heard that the Vancouver-based apparel brand Doer was going to partner with the Seattle sports podcasts here on the Locked On Network, I got very excited. But I got even more excited when I realized that this brand is known for their comfort-driven denim, lifestyle apparel made from plants and recycled material. Like that screams a lot of PNW to me. But I love the backstory. I love history. I love backstories. And the founder wanted to change their carbon footprint, got rid of a vehicle, and wanted to bike ride more, which is something that I do. When I'm on Tulsa time, I have my bike. Love my matte black bike. It's beautiful. But riding in jeans or a lot of different materials that you would wear just normally when you're going or when you're at things that you are, for me, sometimes that's also dresses. Hello. It can be a little difficult. It's not comfortable. You're worried about ruining your material, things of that nature. But Doer makes denim pants shorts, shirts, and tees for both women and men that are made from technical fabric that keeps you cool when it's hot, warm when it's cold. It's breathable, lightweight, and durable. And it also allows you to look great while moving freely, which is important if you're a biker, if you're a hiker, if you're a walker, like I also am because I'm a New Yorker, okay? I walk everywhere. But that's why I like Doer. Now I'm on the road, so I haven't gotten my Doer merch. I should be getting some soon, but I'm telling you, the coveralls, the overalls, the jeans, everything looks flawless. Looks like it's high quality and built to last, which is huge. So build your capsule collection with Doer. Times the stretch. Cool max that regulates your body. What is there not to like, people? So simply know that Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Go now to shopdoer.com/LockedOnSeattle. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's shopdoer.com/LockedOnSeattle for 15% off. Shopdoer.com/LockedOnSeattle. Let's hear from Jaden Schwartz. He had a lot to say. Yeah, he had a lot of good things to say about, again, flushing it, knowing that this team's got to get back on track. But he also talked about, getting back with Kakko and Maddie Beniers at practice the other day. This is the one and only Jaden Schwartz, one of my guys. Love to see him in a leadership role, talking about this back-to-back that the Kraken are about to embark on the road.
Well, Schwartzy, first off, after last night, what was your rate as far as how expectations for this morning met what you saw today in practice?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good enough in pretty much every area. So we all know that. Everywhere from D-zone to execution to checking to just making plays with the puck. So, unfortunately, you're going to get those games a few times a year. You don't want that. Obviously, you're trying to win every game, but those games happen, and if you can learn from them and realize what you did wrong and get better because of it, it can make you better in the long run. And just make if you're not hungry in this league from the start of the game, if you're not working and playing your systems, it doesn't matter who you play, you're probably not going to win. So just a bit of a wake-up call, and we got a great chance to get back at her here in a couple days.
Some players would say it's kind of like a lunch pail mentality, and that's kind of the way that you win consistently here in this league. Would you agree?
Yeah. Obviously, work ethic, energy, hunger, playing the system, battle level, compete level. You got to have. If you're getting outworked in those areas, your chances are you're not going to win.
What was the feel getting back out there with Maddie and Cops also?
Yeah, I think it's our first time together, since last year. Kakko being hurt, and we've had different looks throughout the season so far. So obviously, two guys that I love playing with, and we've had good success. I think we read off each other well. That being said, it's it's a new year, and we got to make sure we have our work boots on early here and play the game simple and working and make plays after that. But two guys that I really enjoy playing with.
So a few things that we heard from Schwartzy there. First is, listen, it's going to happen, and wasn't good enough. Second thing, or big takeaway from the clip, and he talked a little bit longer, but the clip that I heard is, and it goes off something I said the other day with Kakko in that first game back. He was like, it was my first game back. I was playing my old team that drafted me. I was on a different line, and I know sometimes people are like, "Suck it up, Buttercup." Like, you play with the line, you play with who you got to play with, and I get that, but there is also something to that continuity, and we'll hear from Lane Lambert because he addressed that. But, it's the first time that we've seen even that line hit the ice in practice together, in the hopes that, likely, because we have a back-to-back, that they will have some ice time together in the next two games. And I liked that line. I like how Kakko helps Matty Beniers be a more aggressive and kind of shoot first version of himself. Net front presence personified in Jaden Schwartz. What's not to like? He does all the right things. He's got the grit, if not the size. But you can't, when our powers combine, like it feels like a Captain Planet moment. Like when all three of those guys are really humming on all cylinders, they complement each other so well. And when you have guys that truly complement each other well, they're not overlapping too much. They're not lacking as much in other areas with different combinations, then they can relax in their game. And that's what you want. Lane Lambert, again, we'll hear from him. But he talked about, he tries to keep the lines consistent, but they need offense. And so as much as he likes keeping his lines the same, which once you establish the lines, I'm with you. Don't change them if you don't have to. We need to change the lines. And we've been talking about why the offense isn't good enough. It's just not good enough. So I think that's going to be interesting. But let's hear a little bit from Lane Lambert. He had, I want to talk about the lines and injuries. I'm kind of flipping this around. We'll talk about goalies in the final segment. But Lane Lambert, he knows this team. They have a lot they still need to work on. They have a lot they still need to prove, and it's his job, right, to push the right buttons. And so, I think some of that has been making line changes. Some of that has been, making adjustments in game, which he clearly has no problem doing that. But you also see that he's getting the repetitions for his guys in practice. Oh yeah, we talking about practice. But he's trying to find that balance, and everything is in service to what he knows right now needs to get better immediately. Yes, there are lapses defensively. Yes, there was an effort issue and a coordination, communication. I mean, there are a lot of issues going on. But what we know is that this team needs offense, and that's what he's laser focused on right now. Here's Lane Lambert talking about what this team needs and how he's making those adjustments. And then in the next segment coming up, we're going to talk about what he said about goaltending.
I thought they worked hard. I thought, there was some attention to detail and some compete. And you know what? You need that regardless of whether you win or lose a hockey game. There's a professionalism to come in the rink every day and practicing like we did today, no matter what happens. Well, I think they do have a little bit of a history, right? And we are challenged to score goals at the moment. So we've got to, I like to keep lines pretty consistent, but when you're not scoring, you have to make some changes.
The familiarity a little bit, like Wright and West Jenna played a lot together. There's some AHL in here. Does that go into that as well?
Yeah, that does go into it, and I think he's a good fit for for Wright and Marchment. He can skate, he drives the play, he works. So I think he does a really good job with those two guys.
So there you heard Lane Lambert talking about a few different things, right? One is that he liked how the team responded. Didn't have a great game, but you get after it. And that's the job. That's the professional approach that you have to take. He talked about, or was asked about, some of what we're seeing, maybe the fatigue not showing up. Does that change what he thinks and how he approaches goaltending? And his answer was no. We saw Joey Daccord dress as well as Matt Murray for that game with San Jose. Philipp Grubauer was the healthy scratch. If I had to guess, Murray's got to get one of these starts, right? He's got to. He was the goalie that was dressed. He got some play in that third period, but I think he's got to get a start here. And honestly, I kind of hope that Philipp Grubauer gets the other one. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, because you still have to win games. You're taking on, the St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars in a back-to-back. You played on, Wednesday. You play Saturday, Sunday, you come back, and then you have a game on Tuesday night. You have a game Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Saturday you take on San Jose again. For me, yes, we want to win games. And we want to make sure that the guys that can help us, who are healthy right now, that they have the confidence, that they have the repetitions, that they have the feel, the touch, especially as goaltenders, to get it done. We keep, here's a rant coming. I was not going to go into this, but now I'm going to do it. I'm taking the gloves off. We kept Philipp Grubauer. We did not have not exercised an opt-out because we want Philipp Grubauer, right? We bring on a third goaltender to lighten the load, and yet Joey Daccord is still seeing the majority of the starts. Now, I don't know. Am I being ridiculous here? Obviously, other people are seeing it as well. Because on the one hand, a part of me is like, Erica, it's so early in the season. We don't even know, some health related, what the lines combinations are. I kind of think we do. But anyway, when we have everyone available, I think we know what we want to see out there. So I'm like, all right, it's early, give Joey a chance and, all of this stuff. But knowing the history of this franchise and knowing that we kept 3 goaltenders, I just don't understand why we're not seeing different, that we're not seeing things change enough, at least for my liking. Philipp Grubauer, last season, when he was in the AHL, when he came back from the AHL, when he came to camp this year, he said he needs repetitions. He needs to know that he's going to get starts. I'm kind of reading between the lines there. I'm sure he wants to know when he's going to get starts, but he needs to have the repetitions. He said it's not a confidence thing, it's a consistency thing, and he didn't consistently get in net. Now, he didn't maybe always deserve to get in net, but you have to, similarly to what Jaden Schwartz said, similarly to what we've been asking Joey Daccord to do, you have to flush it. You have to flush those games. And how can you realistically trust and rely on backup goaltenders to be ready when you need them unless you give them repetitions? And it's like, oh, well, that's the job. And blah. I'm here to tell you, as someone who has been a backup at the highest level that I've ever played, which was college for me, I know as a reserve, that's what we're told to do. And I'm here to tell you, it's a load of poo. Because we are expected as reserves to be our best when we're not given the opportunity to work through our worst. So I have philosophically an issue with how we do that. I think the teams that are most successful have more of an equitable split, but most importantly, they communicate very clearly how players are going to be utilized. And you know what? I'm sitting here as a podcast host. I am not a part of the Kraken organization. I am not, in the locker room outside of media availabilities. So maybe this has been communicated. But it just seems like if Philipp Grubauer is being told how things are going to work this season, it certainly seems a lot different than what he was hoping it would be. And it's probably a little bit off from what we need it to be. All of that being said, if Matt Murray and or Philipp Grubauer aren't 100% healthy, aren't 100% game fit, or just aren't mentally locked in, then yeah, it falls on Joey. But then isn't that on the organization to figure out how to get their goaltender, their starting goaltender, not to mention the rest of the team, the support that we need? I think so. I think that's part of the job. Oh boy. Closing out this episode with just some updates on injuries. And so we'll hear from Lane Lambert on that once again. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. Not in Seattle, but soon, hopefully. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association. Even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets for everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game, exciting, especially when your team is making a late push. Right now, FanDuel new customers can get $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the MNBA. All right, Kraken fans, I've gone on so many mini rants, I hardly even know. But I do want to just get an update from Lane Lambert again on the state of the roster. Here he goes again.
And you know what? You need that regardless of whether you win or lose a hockey game. There's a professionalism to come in the rink every day and practicing like we did today, no matter what happens.
Any progress so far on Ryker, seeing him back out there, and also Canner? Well.
Yeah, Ryker, he's still on IR, he's still day to day, but I thought he looked good today. So I'd say he's getting really close. McCann, not so much. He's day to day, but he's not close yet.
Is Ryker going to travel with the team this weekend?
He will.
So he's not what yet? Okay.
He's not ready yet. Yeah.
So unfortunately, I got to fix that. Here we go. Little viewfinder issue. For those listening on audio, that probably made no sense to you. So McCann, not ready yet. Not progressing as the team has hoped. Still listed as day-to-day, but not really ready. Doesn't sound like he's traveling. Ryker Evans, on the other hand, I literally almost ran into Ryker Evans. Near miss there, but I saw him at CPI the other night when I was there. But it sounds like Ryker is progressing better. He will make the trip, and that's good news because again, it's a back-to-back. So, this team has been dealing with some things. I think it's going to be interesting as I continue to say what happens when we do get McCann especially back. What does that mean for Catton, who seems to be getting some minutes at center, but on the fourth line? We also heard earlier, I didn't address this, but, Ryan Winterton, Lane Lambert has been complimentary, and I agree with him. I think Ryan Winterton fits well. Him and Mason Marchment, Shane Wright. We did see a Winterton goal, but there were a lot of chances that I'd have to look at Allison Lucan's instant analysis again. But my eye test tells me that some of the best chances, really second and third chances, when we had a few more bites at the apple, came from that line with Shane Wright centering Marchment and Winterton. I know a lot of people in the comments on YouTube, social media, really want to see Wright get more minutes. It's just that Stevenson, I don't know what you do with Stevenson. And I guess the organization hasn't figured it out. I mean, matter of factly, there's one way. When you look at the budget and how much you would pay a guy to basically sit on the bench, that's another way of looking at it. And then, of course, there's the messy middle, which is exactly where the Kraken live. That's our perennial place. All right, it's full circle. I mentioned that at the top in my first rant of the episode, and now we can close this one out. We'll probably do a little bit of something like a bonus episode tomorrow, Saturday, because I want to really get laser focused here. More to come from now the Seattle Torrent. Again, Torrent. That's weird. The Seattle Torrent. We have a name. We have a logo, even though it was leaked, but now it's official. They are going to start training camp next week. I'm super excited for that. We've got the rivalry series game 2 USA did get the win. We talked about that on the Women's Hockey Report. So if you're watching this either Saturday, then go check that out. So we got a lot to talk about. A lot of exciting things in Seattle hockey, and we got to make sure that the Kraken get on the good foot. But it's going to be tough back to back. I want to talk a little bit more in the bonus episode over the weekend about what happens when Evans does come back. You know, is it Lindgren? Is it Mahura? How do we shake things up defensively? And I'm going to be keeping a keen eye on who we see in net for game one on this back-to-back. We know that Lane Lambert came in. He knows about the back-to-backs. I've asked him about the back-to-backs. We want to be better on the back-to-backs. We didn't get it done in our first regular season back-to-back. Here's our next chance. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. And they got to get better. They got to get better. They got to learn how to win in back-to-back games. And some of that is roster management. Yes, we have injuries and we still have healthy scratches available. So you just got to mix and match some things. And if they're not good enough when we are unhealthy, then should they be on the roster? I know that might sound harsh, way harsh, Ty. My name is Erica. That was a quote from Clueless. I know it sounds harsh, but listen, it's not about necessarily what a player can do as far as their repertoire, right? As far as their skill set. It's a matter of, does their skill set and their productivity match what the Kraken need? And those are not always the same thing. That's the tough part of the business as well. But we have to start having conversations about if this team is built to be a perennial playoff team, or perennially, is that how you would say that? Or a perennial middle, or a perennial messy middle team. Questions that need answers. A reminder to be kind to yourself so you can extend that kindness to others. Hold fast, stay true, and loud and proud we say, let's go Kraken and let's go Torrent. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.